Good morning again. We are ready to resume. Please make sure that your phones are off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Ramsari, we were still dealing with the issue of Mr. Cedric Nkabinde, and I just wanted to clarify some issues with you before you move on with that topic. The first is just to confirm that Mr. Nkabinde at that stage wasn't the subject of any IDAC investigations.
Correct.
Okay. And then insofar as the second aspect is concerned, you mentioned that there was a purpose for the meeting with the Minister Mkhunu and Advocate Johnson, either the 20th or the 21st of January. I'm not sure whether you actually specifically told us what the purpose was and who told you that that was the purpose for the meeting.
I wasn't specifically told what the purpose of the meeting was. From the manner in which the conversation was going between Mr. Padiachi, Mr. Perumal, and Advocate Johnson, I picked up that there was, firstly, that this was not the first meeting, but what Advocate Johnson eventually said was that the minister wants to really clean up crime intelligence and SAPS. So I thought that was the purpose.
Just so that we are not confused, on 239, because you're talking about the meeting on the 20th.
Correct.
The late night meeting.
The night meeting, correct.
I don't know how late, but let's say it's an evening meeting.
Correct.
Let me not say late night. This one is on the 23rd of January 2025.
Correct.
And it must have taken place in the morning because Advocate Johnson says just met the minister now.
Correct, at 13:44.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. So at this page 239 and your evidence so far, there's then been at least 2 meetings between the minister and Ms. Johnson.
Correct.
According to this. Are you aware of any further meetings?
Not directly aware. I would just, in the meetings here, the minister said.
Okay.
But I didn't know how it was communicated or whether they were still meeting.
Okay.
And do you know who went with Advocate Johnson to this meeting?
The meeting of the 20th or the 21st?
This one, the 23rd.
The 23rd, no, I'm not aware of what that meeting was
You
about.
know about the 20th, who went with?
I was informed by Advocate Johnson that she was alone waiting for the minister with Mr. Nkabinde.
And with her protectors, of course.
Her protectors were asked to wait outside and her cell phones were handed to the protectors.
Okay. And then just staying on 239, when you start out the message to Advocate Johnson, you say, "Afternoon, Advocate Johnson. I spoke to Tillis about the links and evidence regarding C and Cub." When you explained the taskings that Advocate Johnson gave on the 22nd of January, I don't recall you saying whether she had asked you to do something specifically. So I just wanted to know, how do you get to the point where you're telling her that you spoke to Tillis? Was it an instruction from her or?
Correct. The instruction, after the communication and the discussion about Mr. Nkabinde, which was primarily between Mr. Perumal, Mr. Sissoko, and Advocate Johnson, we were just party to the meeting. Advocate Johnson instructed me, because Advocate Shabalala was the prosecutor on those 2 matters that were discussed, and those matters were within the IDAC space and already in court. Advocate Johnson instructed me to contact Advocate Shabalala and find out what evidence was contained in those 2 dockets against Mr. Nkabinde and then report to her. And that is how I determined through Mr. Advocate Shabalala that Mr. Peter White had documentary evidence with regards to forensic analysis.
Okay. Then do you want to continue with the timeline insofar as the Cedric and Kabinde matter is concerned? So now we've dealt with the 23rd. For reference, if you then want to look at your affidavit, your April affidavit on 248, although this affidavit comes later, you do set out a comprehensive history of events that transpired.
In my affidavit,
If we go to 253, that's where you talk about the 23rd of January.
253. On the 23rd of January 2025, around 1300 hours, I contacted Shabalala. I advised him that the ID asked me to contact him and ask him, sorry, it should say ask, but it says as, him about the link between Nkabinde and his two cases. He advised me that in Blue Lights there was a comprehensive report compiled by White. However, he was told by Advocate Law and Colonel Rulofsir that that is not the angle of prosecution that they were pursuing, and nothing was done further about the report. I then contacted the ID via WhatsApp explaining above and requesting instructions regarding obtaining the report. I was asked by the ID to obtain the report. I then contacted Sissoko. I asked him to please assist. I do not want to contact White directly as he is a witness in a matter that I am allocated. On the 24th of January 2025, ID indicated via WhatsApp to me she wanted a progress report on Nkabinde. A meeting took place on the 27th of January.
Okay, can we just establish that, so you're saying that on the 24th, Advocate Johnson asks for feedback from you?
Correct.
Okay, and that we will find in at page 242. And maybe we start at 240, the top of 240. And just to give context on the date that we're talking about, you can see on 239 that at the foot of that page it says 24 January 2025. And at 240, she says there's a message from Advocate Johnson at 10:54. Do you want to start there?
Thank you.
Before you start there, at that foot of 239, I handed all dockets that came to me in December to Chief and Brian. What dockets are these?
The original dockets that
Relating to Mr. Nkabinde?
No. This message was in relation to the fact that the dockets she had asked me to hand to her PA after they were photocopied, the Fadil Adams dockets.
Okay.
She then indicated to me that she handed all the dockets that came to me in December to Chief, being Mr. Perumal and Brian.
Okay. Thank you.
At 10:54, Advocate Johnson sends me a WhatsApp saying, just want to know how far we are with the Nkabinde stuff. I reply, I will advise within the next 20 minutes. The report was going to be sent to Mr. Sissoko.
You can leave that last part. We'll get to that when we deal with the Adams matters. And so that is what you were referring to, that you had indicated she asked for an update and you responded to that.
Correct.
Then you can go back to your statement, to your affidavit at 253.
Thank you. I contacted Sissoko, however, he was in a meeting. I then contacted White directly. He explained at length the cell phone record, a payment of a large amount for clothing and a vehicle. I sent ID a text with this information, including the fact that White had a 5-page report on this, but was told to cease work and thus did nothing further. On the same day, Sissoko contacted me telephonically indicating that he was on his way to the office and wanted to see me. When I went to his office, I found Binang being investigated, Timani Binang, and Shabalala being advocate, senior state advocate Tila Shabalala. The discussion was about the White's report. Shabalala indicated that a standalone prosecution can ensue, and Binang can start finalizing the investigation. Sissoko indicated that he did not want any of the IPID investigators to deal with the matter, and that a neutral IDAC investigator should pursue the investigation. I was then contacted by the ID's personal assistant, indicating that the ID was available for the meeting with Sissoko and myself. Perumal was already seated in ID's office when I arrived. The attendees at this meeting was the ID, Sissoko, Perumal, and myself. Sissoko proceeded to explain to the ID and Perumal the links as per the charts provided by White. There was discussions about the investigation that needs to proceed. Perumal indicated that Belochin can continue with the investigation.
Can I just pause there and ask you to, as part of our timeline, if you can go to 242 which is the WhatsApps, page 242. Are you there?
I am.
At 242, it's part of a message that you sent to Advocate Johnson about the Nkabinde matter at the top at 12:59. You say there's also links on cell phone records between Nkab and James. Who's James? You don't have to say it if it's...
No, he's a well-known former general or lieutenant general of SAPS. It is James Ramanjulam. He just finished serving a 5-year sentence after a plea agreement between the IDAC and himself.
Okay. And you say, so there's records between Mr. Nkabinde and James, and we will need to obtain those records from Sunil as well.
Correct.
And this is all part of part of fact-finding, fact-gathering in respect of Mr. Nkabinde.
Correct, on the instructions of Advocate Johnson.
No investigation authorized as yet?
No, there was nothing.
Okay.
Where Mr. Chabalala says that a standalone prosecution can ensue, it's a standalone prosecution of Mr. Nkabinde.
Correct.
That he's talking about.
Correct.
And the prosecution would be for what, as you understood it here?
Based on what I had been told at that point, Mr. Nkabinde is linked to receiving a large sum of money for the purposes of clothing from a service provider that IPID was investigating.
Whilst he was still at IPID?
While he was still at IPID. Okay. And the other link where I speak about James Ramanjulam is that there is cell phone records between the accused and Mr. Nkabinde, and there was an investigation that was being dealt with by both DPCI and IPID with regards to that procurement irregularities, and both those matters are in court.
Okay, thank you.
Did the report also reveal that he received an OD and some cash paid for by this person that was being investigated by IPID?
Correct. The report did indicate about the Audi. It also spoke about how the Audi was collected and for what period it was used, and the cash. And the cash link was based on the withdrawal of the service provider and the cell phone tower, and the phone calls between those parties.
So at this point, has there been a referral or complaint to IDEC about Mr. Nkabinde?
No.
There isn't at this point.
There's nothing formal. It's just instructions from Advocate Johnson that we must gather the information that we have of criminality.
And
or
it all
misdoings.
comes after her meeting with the minister where she said Nkabinde gave her heebie-jeebies.
Correct. I do believe there's more to what transpired between the two of them.
Yes.
I'm not aware of it.
Okay, thank you.
Then just to continue with that 242, Advocate Johnson then responds at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. I'm shocked. He's the staff officer of the minister.
I'm shook.
Shook, sorry, I'm shook. He is the staff officer of the Min of Police. Can you what damage he can do with all the information, etc., he gets from the office, from that office?
And then I'm interested in your response at 1302. Read that and then explain to us.
Sure. It explains how the messages for not cancelling the task team were so easily conveyed, and consequences of cancelling. The MP in Cape Town showed us the messages.
When you say not, you mean the notice for cancelling?
Yes, I think what I did was...
When you say not, you're referring to the notice for cancelling.
Correct.
Okay.
And with regards to this, I had in part 1 indicated that when we were in consultation on the 6th of January 2025 with Mr. Fadil Adams, he did show us messages allegedly from General Mkunazi indicating that they were going to arrest Minister Mkunu if the PKTT was closed. I also indicated that I wasn't sure if it was Mr. Nkabinde or the minister that had forwarded the messages.
Yes, because you said the messages, you weren't really interested in the messages.
Interested.
And Mr. Rapesu said that he couldn't really decipher what the message was saying because Mr. Adams was telling him what the message is saying while showing him the message.
Correct. That's how, because I didn't read the messages and Mr. Adams was talking over and explaining what the messages were saying. That's how I understood what the messages were about.
And that's what you mean when you say, and consequences of cancelling. In other words, what Mr. Adams had told you and Mr. Rapesu and Mr. Perumal is that Minister Mkunu is going to be arrested if the task team is cancelled.
Correct.
Okay. Do you want to then go back to your affidavit?
Correct. Thank you.
Before you do that, previously or today, did we get an explanation of what this affidavit that starts at page 248, what is its purpose, under what circumstances?
Yes. I had asked the witness, Commissioner Baloy, and you will recall that she went and explained the affidavit, but not the purpose of it, and that's when I took her back to the history. So maybe you can just tell us why you prepared it.
Commissioner, Chair, on the 30th of January 2025, Advocate Johnson sent me messages indicating something bad had happened and I was going to be heartbroken. We will deal with them as I'm dealing with the chronology. And when I went to, she had wanted to see me, but I was on treatment at the time, so I was not in the office. And when I did return to the office, I went to, Advocate Johnson indicated through her PA that I must come and see her. And she said to me that she had received a call from Mr. Nkabinde, indicating that Mr. Rapesu had informed him that he was being investigated by IDAC, and that if something about if they want his bank records and all of that, he would provide it. But she didn't go into detail because she was speeding along to the point where Rapesu has now breached Section 41.6. He must be charged. At some point during the conversation, she told me that Perumal wanted him to be escorted out of the building with his bag, by the security. That was the line of the conversation. Later on, I'm on the 26th of February, I am on a vacation and I receive a phone call from Mr. Mbalo. Mr. Mbalo is a member of Mr. Perumal's investigative team. He indicates that the ID has instructed that I must do an affidavit on Mr. Rapesu's investigation. So because I was with people, I was with family, we were on vacation, I said to him, I will call him when I get back, because I didn't understand what was required and why, as a prosecutor, I was being asked to file an affidavit. So later on, somewhere in March, I call Mr. Mbalo. He explains that the ID instructed that I must do an affidavit for the internal investigation against Mr. Rapesu. So I asked, who's running the investigation? Where's the reference number for the investigation? You're asking me for an affidavit, but I don't even have, HR reference number must at least be provided to me. In any event, I was told she wants the affidavit, and that is the purpose of this affidavit. I must state that on the 30th, when I was around the 30th, when I was being informed by Advocate Johnson about this, I did voice that I highly doubt it was Mr. Rapesu. And I explained to her that I had been present and taken notes in all the meetings that transpired about Nkabinde, or Mr. Nkabinde. And Mr. Nkabinde, or Mr. Rapesu's involvement in the Mr. Nkabinde thing ended after he gave us the transcripts of the trial on the 22nd of January, 2025. And that he was not party to any of the meetings, so could it not possibly be someone that was in our meetings? So, should I proceed?
Yes.
I found Penang in Shabalala. The discussion was that, I read all of that already. I was then contacted by the ID's personal assistant indicating that the ID was available for the meeting with Sissoko myself. Perumal was already seated in the ID's office when I arrived. Attendees at the meeting were ID, Sissoko, Perumal, and myself. Sissoko provided the explanation to the ID and Perumal and the links as per the charts provided by White. There were discussions about the investigation that needed to proceed. Perumal indicated that Beluchin can continue with the investigations. Sissoko stated the sentiment he shared in the meeting as per paragraph 6.39. The ID agreed and stated that Padiachi would attend to the investigations. The meeting continued where Perumal indicated that a person called G. This initial is used when referring to Gininda, General. I think he's a General Gininda, but I know he's from cold cases, SAPS. Was told or positioned to take the message to the top. I was unclear what the statement meant, as it was in context of what we were discussing regarding Nkabinde. I then excused myself from the meeting. On the 30th of January 2025, Sissoko contacted me regarding the authorization documents for the Nkabinde matter. I sent the ID a WhatsApp asking if the authorization should be done in terms of which form of authorization.
Can we go to that WhatsApp at 245?
Afternoon, Advocate Johnson. Please advise, authorization for NCAB standalone. Must it be done in as a Section 2813 or 28.1?
Just to confirm, at this stage, there isn't a referral or a Section 27 referral?
Correct.
Okay.
I must just explain that in the meeting that I've just spoken about, where Mr. White's report is being explained to Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal had indicated that because there were already authorizations for those two matters, they can just proceed in terms of 28s.
Without a Section 27 referral. And so now you're asking Advocate Johnson to advise you insofar as that is concerned?
Because Mr. Sissoko is saying he had called and he had asked, has it been done? And I said, no, I haven't received any instructions as to what it's supposed to be. And then I said to him, I'll speak to the ID. But by then, I'm aware that Mr. Beluchan and Mr. Padiachi had already taken the device seized from James Ramanjulam back to Mr. White. So obviously those three had already continued or started where they left off with the investigation on that cell phone.
Just to clear my understanding, the authorization for the two other matters that Mr. Perumal speaks of, what are those matters? The two matters? In fact, what is the authorization in respect of those two? I guess what I'm trying to clarify for myself is how Nkabinde fits into those authorizations to a point where it follows naturally out of those two others. So you would have to say the two matters are matters such and such and such and such, and then hopefully we see the link that makes it a valid response to say we already have authorization in the other two matters. We don't need one specific for Nkabinde.
Can I answer it in this way, rather? I spoke earlier about the fact that certain matters of Mr. Perumal that were placed on the court roll while Advocate Johnson was head of office do not have authorizations. That is one of those matters. The other matter is a matter where it was referred to the ID when Advocate Cranier was there. There is a constructive 2813, and it is based on testimony at the Zondo Commission.
It implicates Mr. Nkabinde.
As far as I understood from the report, yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then at 245, Advocate Johnson's response to your inquiry about the authorization.
We'll check. We need to talk. Something terrible has happened. Whatever you do, don't discuss anything on Nkab with Mansa. When you hear what I have to say, your heart will break. It's initially breaker, and then there's a break underneath. This was at 13:55. I reply, I won't. We have been keeping that between Mr. S, myself, and Dylan. Dylan being Mr. Perumal, Mr. S being Mr. Sissoko. She replies, don't talk to Mr. S either. I have to figure some things out. It's bad. I reply, I won't. I'm worried now.
And so then you meet with Advocate Johnson.
Correct.
And Mansa referred to here is Mr. Rapesu.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And when do you meet with her? Was it on the 3rd?
I don't have my calendar with me, but it would have been not more than a day or two later.
Okay. May proceed. Do you want to then look at your affidavit?
Yeah, I just want to, because the timeline is in here, as poorly drafted as this affidavit is, it is here.
At 254, you speak about the 30th, and then on still on 254 6.46 on the 31st of January. So you would have
Yes,
met
so it
her
would
the
have been
very
the
next
next
day. And just tell us what happens there. You don't have to read the affidavit.
Advocate Johnson informs me that on the day before, on the 30th, that Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi were in her office. And she explained that on the evening of the 29th, she had been receiving calls from Mr. Nkabinde. She was unable to answer them. She had indicated to me that she was at the temple, and so she couldn't answer the calls. She did send a text to him indicating she can't talk, he must text. And then on the 30th, in the presence of Mr. Perumal and Mr. Nkabinde, Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi, Mr. Nkabinde called, and she answered and she put him on speaker. And that he had informed her that he was informed by Mansa Rapesu that there was an investigation into him at IDAC, and that she must be careful as Mr. Sissoko uses Rapesu and Bina. This is what Advocate Johnson is telling me Mr. Nkabinde told her.
And Mr. Nkabinde and Mr. Sissoko have a history from IPID?
I later found out, yes, they did. In fact, I found out the history while watching ad hoc committee.
Oh, okay. And so when Advocate Johnson said that Mr. Nkabinde told her to be careful because Sissoko uses Rapesu and Binang, you didn't understand why Mr. Sissoko would use Mr. Rapesu and Binang in relation to Mr. Nkabinde?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I was shocked. I was confused. It was a lot of information overload in what Advocate Johnson was saying. And I asked the ID if an investigation had commenced into the allegations by Mr. Nkabinde against Mr. Rapesu. And I asked her, is it not possible that someone else had told him? And then I repeated to her from the 22nd of January who was present in those meetings. And then I said to her, I didn't tell Mr. Rapesu. So is it possible that Mr. Perumal or Mr. Padiachi told him, or Mr. Sissoko, or Mr. Shabalala, or maybe Mr. Binang? And she said, no, I know it was Rapesu. And so I left it at that.
In fact, at page 254 at 6.46.3, you say, I was shocked. I asked the ID if an investigation had commenced, and I asked the ID if it could possibly be someone else, as Rapesu was not party to any discussions on the Nkabinde aspect except for the presentation on the 22nd of January 2025. Rapesu was never part of any of the further meetings that took place after that. He would not have had any knowledge of what has transpired.
Correct. The ID indicated that she has started the process and that Nkabinde was too clear in who he named. I left the ID's office, spoke briefly to Mr. Perumal. We did not discuss the details of the situation. We merely expressed our shock, and I asked him how could Rapesu know, because I had excluded him from all the follow-up meetings after the presentation. On the 10th of February 2025, I was informed by the ID via WhatsApp that Mr. Rapesu had been served with a letter. Further to the events above, no further discussions between the persons mentioned above, nor any other person took place with me until receiving the call from Investigator Mbalo.
So by the time you deposed to this affidavit, there's already an investigation into Mr. Rapesu regarding the Nkabinde allegations?
Correct. In fact, when because the commissioners will see that it's marked copy and Mr. Mbalo signs on 248 on the top. So when I handed him the original, I asked that he sign my copy and date it. On that day, Mr. Mbalo had indicated that Mr. Nkabinde, I'm not going to swear, so I'm just going to say Mr. Nkabinde had told Mr. Mbalo to FO. He's not filing an affidavit, and he didn't say what, and that was the explanation. He didn't say what, and because I didn't want to get involved any further, and I reached a point of depletion. I just left it at that. But Mr. Mbalo went on to say that I mustn't be fooled because the ID is aware that Mr. Sissoko and Mr. Binang has been protecting Nkabinde. And I found that strange because of the meeting and the presentation on the 22nd. But later on, when I did have sight of Mr. Mbalo's report, it was clear that that report was trying to, because they still hadn't even received an affidavit or a confirmation letter from Mr. Nkabinde about the allegations. And when I saw the report, Mr. Mbalo, I must make it clear, it's very easy to see when you're working with people for so long, who drafts who and what. You can pick up the style of drafting. That's not Mr. Mbalo's drafting. It's just my opinion. But in that report, they are trying to implicate Mr. Rapesu, Mr. Sissoko, and Mr. Benang. At some point, Advocate Johnson had spoken about the fact that Mr. Rapesu had volunteered to do a polygraph, and that's easily dismissed, and that he was guilty. All of these things would be said in these meetings. So. It was later on that I discovered what happened was, on the 11th of April, I was complaining that I had not received 90% of the documents and Advocate Johnson wanted diversion enrolled. And so Mr. Perumal had instructed Mr. Padiachi to copy the diversion file onto a USB and give it to me. Mr. Padiachi had copied a lot of things. And during the consultations and looking for affidavits and all of that, I came across Mr. Perumal's affidavit. And Mr. Perumal's affidavit is very different to everything that I heard. It says that he had contacted Mr. Nkabinde the night before, and that Mr. Nkabinde was an IDAC source or informer on the crime intelligence matters. And that, so the entire documentation that I saw is that Mr. Nkabinde had contacted Advocate Johnson on the 30th. But in Mr. Perumal's affidavit, it states that Advocate Johnson contacted Mr. Nkabinde and put him on speaker in the presence of Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi.
As opposed to what Advocate Johnson told you when
Correct.
she... And that, as part of the documentation, that will still be included, Chair.
Confirm.
And so, in effect, what you were saying in this affidavit, by setting out the chronology and asking if it could, basically saying it couldn't have been Mr. Rapesu who leaked the information, because he wouldn't have been privy to the conversations. That is, your suspicion is then confirmed that it's someone else in Mr. Perumal's affidavit that was not disclosed.
Correct. I also had asked at some point if Mr. Rapesu was not involved in all the meetings, then it could only have been the four that
Including you, yeah.
Yes, or including me, 5, that informed Mr. Rapesu or had informed Mr. Nkabinde. But my suspicions were somewhat that, so I'm going to deal with just like a small snippet of what Mr. Rapesu dealt with regards to his questioning. Okay. In January 2025, Mr. Rapesu...
When you say his questioning, you mean before the commission?
His evidence before the... I apologize, his evidence before the commission. He indicated that he was asking a lot of questions, and that he was removed from the Mokwele because of the questions on the 204. if I can just shed light on what was happening at that time, and explain why there was a need to remove Mr. Rapesu, or my views on why they would want to remove Mr. Rapesu. I actually said it to Mr. Sissoko and Advocate Johnson. I'm too young to be juggling the egos and the arrogance of investigators. And investigators are very arrogant. They really are. They're stubborn and they're arrogant. So I had said that I'm juggling. So there was this fight that happened, and I agreed with Mr. Rapesu on a legal perspective. You cannot start an investigation on a 204, because what have you done? The purpose of a Section 204 witness is when you can get evidence no other way. But you cannot start with a 204 and then from the 204's submissions be guided on an investigation. And I will explain how that 204 aspect and my objections that I raised with Advocate Johnson in my statement. So there was a fight, and then there was, I can see it so clearly in my head, the point where Mr. Perumal was standing up and he did this, "But I am your commander," to Mr. Rapesu, because Mr. Rapesu was objecting to these things. And so in order to facilitate this thing I said, and I knew where the direction of Advocate Johnson was going to be if I took this to her. So I indicated to them, Mr. Rapesu has made great strides with leg 1 on the Lushaba matter, and I had been receiving updates every day and an updated report every day. With regards to the Mukwele matter, I suggest that Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi continue so that we don't have this. But they were still supposed to report everything to me so that I could report it to Advocate Johnson, which I was completely bypassed on. So in essence, it was me that removed Mr. Rapesu from the Mukwele. But the problem that started was Mr. Rapesu, after I had left the meeting and the investigators were still discussing, Mr. Perumal had told me after that Rapesu needs to get in line with how we work. So, and it's not only him, that if you stand up to Mr. Perumal, I've explained what happens to you. So in light of all of those things, in the back of my head, I doubted that these allegations, because it happened again, I think it was last year or sometime early this year, to another investigator that was allocated to Mr. Perumal on the diversion matters, where he was placed with an email or a letter saying that he must respond to allegations, and they were the most ridiculous allegations I've ever read.
Okay, so we've now dealt with the context of how that statement came about. We can then go to the other aspect of the 22 January meetings. We can go back to your statement, page 6, paragraph 15.
Returning to the chronology on 22 January 2025, the meeting where Project Diversion was discussed and the presentation made to Advocate Johnson was held. Advocate Johnson made her own amendments to the presentation in manuscript and handed a hard copy to the team at the meeting. During this presentation, I took notes, as I usually do. The presentation was explained to Advocate Johnson mainly by Mr. Perumal. Before I deal with Advocate Johnson's instructions following the presentation, it is important for the commissioners to bear in mind that at this stage, the investigation was in existence for 6 weeks, with no activity for 2 weeks between the 19th of December 2024 and 6 January 2025. Yet
Sorry, what is the significance of those dates? The 19th of December to 6th January.
Between the 19th of January and the 6th, sorry, the 19th of December and the 6th of January, no investigations could have taken place. I was on leave. Mr. Padiachi was out of the country. Mr. Rapesu was on leave, and Mr. Perumal was acting as the head of investigations.
Thank you.
And the 19th of December was when you and Mr. Rapesu and Mr. Perumal had that meeting where you were discussing the confidential documentation.
Correct.
And the 6th of January was when you go to Cape Town to meet with Mr. Adams.
Correct.
Okay. And what you want to convey here is that you are really dealing with a 6-week-old investigation, and the instructions that follow are too excessive, or insofar as you just at the infancy of an investigation.
Correct. And we are at the, to use your word, the infancy of a section 2813. A 2813 is to determine if the veracity of the claims actually lead to a criminal investigation.
Which would be the 28-1.
One.
Okay. So, how I suggest we do this is we're going to flight your notes redacted as you had requested, and then you can read from your statement, and if there's any aspect of the notes that we are unclear of, that is not clear from your summary of it in your statement, we will then just ask you. And Commissioners, that will be file 11, page 1. And if you, Commissioners, if you are going to engage the witness on the contents of her notes, to just first look on your screen what names have been redacted, so you don't engage her on a redacted name, because your copies aren't redacted. These are the notes that we have Captain McLean to thank for, because you started taking detailed notes because he told you to be careful.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So we are on page 1 of file 11, but for your purposes, page 7, paragraph 15.1, you say, yet these were the instructions. These were Advocate Johnson's instructions during the meeting, being the meeting of 22 January 2025. You can also just keep page 1 of your notes open.
Got it.
And then if you can tell us on that note before you read out, there is the date, you'll see the date there, but above the date, there's certain words there that I can't see. I can't make out what it is. Can you just tell us what it is? Because it's not dealt with in your statement. So just above the date, I see some related/relationship.
It says related/relationships to the general's income.
The general's income.
For,
Is that B Cele?
it's B Cele, police contract equals SAPS tender Tembisa Hospital.
Okay, and we get to that later in your summary.
Correct.
And then it was at 12 o'clock. That's the time that the meeting started?
Correct, and at the boardroom in the Linton House.
Okay, and subject meeting ID.
Correct.
Okay, you may proceed in your statement.
Thank you. Yet these are Advocate Johnson's instructions during the meeting. Brigadier Tom Moyane, a member of Crime Intelligence, must be served with a 28 to be interviewed, and he must be put through his paces, or put through the paces. Advocate Johnson said that she would do this interview in person and bring out the prosecutor in her. The Crime Intelligence matters
Sorry,
would...
who is Brigadier Tom Moyane, and why are you putting him through his paces relating to these matters?
Commissioner, I myself didn't even know what was going on, who this person was. It was Mr. Rapesu who whispered Crime Intelligence, because I asked who. And, but like I said, during the entire proceedings of this meeting, there was an underlying understanding between Advocate Johnson, Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Padiachi, whereas Mr. Sissoko, Mr. Rapesu, and I were playing catch up.
The name Tom Mayani came, Brigadier, let me, because this name came from Ms. Johnson
Correct.
in
and
your
if-
meeting.
In the meeting, but if you look at the 2813, one of the unexplained names is also Brigadier Moyane.
Yes, thank you.
And you have it as Moyani in your notes, but in your statement it's Moyana. I think you made the correction in your statement. It's
Correct.
Moyana.
Moyana.
Yes. But of course, you getting this. You're writing.
I'm
yes.
writing as Advocate Johnson is speaking.
Yeah, we will forgive you for that.
Thank
Proceed.
you. The crime intelligence matters were to be fenced as follows. The Modondo matter would be first regarding her unlawful appointment. Advocate Johnson said that,
Please don't read that name here.
thank you, an employee at crime intelligence is a possible Section 204 witness. This was said a mere 6 weeks into the investigation.
Ms. Nobe, sorry. Why is the name not to be mentioned?
It
It's in our statements.
It was a potential 204 witness, and it's redacted in the statement and in her notes. The witness asked, Ms. Ramsamy asked for the witness. It's the person's surname. That word is the person's surname.
And the reason it's not to be mentioned is because they were a potential 204 witness.
Commissioner, I had asked and explained to Advocate Ngube that these are crime intelligence officers. I don't feel comfortable. I mean, the commissioners have had sites and they are aware, but I don't feel comfortable naming them for various reasons. And also because I don't understand what specific role they play at crime intelligence, I could be potentially putting them in danger. So I had asked not to mention the names.
No, I understand when you say it because it's a potential 204 witness. I just needed to understand why we mentioned Mr. Moyane, Brigadier Tom Moyane by name, and then another crime intelligence officer we do not mention. So it's sufficient when you say he was potentially a Section 204 witness.
Thank you.
And Moyane is mentioned in the the application for investigation.
Correct.
As a suspect. Okay.
Correct. The Lushaba housebreaking matter would be second. Advocate Johnson justified IDAC's mandate by stating that there was not a housebreaking matter, but a defeating the ends of justice case and perjury. She said the matter must proceed by contacting the commander. I am still uncertain as to which commander she was referring to, but Mr. Perumal seemed to understand. She instructed that a Section 28 summons be issued to the tracker or to tracker to trace the movements of Mr. Lushaba's vehicle, and that Major General Feroz Khan should be contacted for the details of Hudson, who had later been added to the 28-1. Advocate Johnson also stated that witness is a possible witness.
Yes, proceed.
Hotel accommodation matter and other expenses would be next. She mentioned properties and purchases being made for the political task force / team. She said we should also look into the political killings task team's protection regarding Mr. Ian Cameron, being the chair of the police portfolio committee and a member of parliament, a politician linked to the DA.
Can we just, that's on page 6 of the notes, of the handwritten notes.
Correct.
It's earlier and then again linked to.
Thank you. I do not recall if she said the PKTT was providing protection for Mr. Cameron or whether Mr. Cameron was protecting the PKTT. I would think the former, but I do not remember the specifics. And my notes do not assist me in recalling this aspect. in respect of properties being purchased with COVID funds from the SSA, Advocate Johnson said that we would look at DivCom of CI, General Kumalo, General Lushaba, and General Madondo. Advocate Johnson also said that we must look for a link between the SSA and the Tembisa contract, which I later became aware was in fact the Medicare 24 contract.
And if we can just look at your notes, that appears under number 4 on page 2. So you've circled the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. On page 2, we've got 3, which says hotel accommodation. And then 4, we've got properties, COVID funds, Tembisa contract.
Correct.
At that stage, you had no idea that it related to the Medicare 24 contract.
I only became aware in May.
Do you know why Advocate Johnson referred to it as the Tembisa contract? SAP's contract, Tembisa contract.
I'm not sure if she was confusing the contracts or she was using the code names of to not openly state what it was, like the names of the projects.
Okay, if I can then just take you back to page 1 where, you know, there near the date where you have in that block police contract equals for SAP's tender Tembisa Hospital.
Correct.
Is that the same Tembisa contract that you're referring to under item 4 on page 2?
Correct, because it was emphasized that when we were investigating the, if I may just, so when we're investigating the properties and the COVID funds, we must investigate, and it was repeated quite a bit, that we must investigate whether there's a link between that and the Tembisa hospital contract, which I became aware was the Medicare 24.
To your knowledge, at the time of these instructions, had IDEC received a referral relating to the Medicare 24 contract as the date of these instructions?
I can confirm that at that time there was no referral.
Okay, thank you.
15.2.6.
Contracts issued would be another leg of the investigation. 15.2.7, the PKTT would be a separate leg of investigation. Paragraph 16. After she set out the various investigations, Advocate Johnson said that we were to investigate corruption, PFMA violations, and the Secret Service account. Mr. Sissoko was tasked with arranging a meeting with the IGI, which did occur. Advocate Johnson then stated that in respect of the purchase of properties in the name of Mabusela and Colonel Masingi, the lady from Action SA, whose name appears on the presentation, Miss Derlene, am I saying it correct? Derlene James.
Can we just step back before you go, because you're going a page ahead of us. On page 2, at the foot of page 2, where you say, in your paragraph, where you say at 16, Advocate Johnson said that we are investigating corruption, PFMA violations, and the Secret Service account. That is with reference to page 2 of your notes when you say, what are we investigation, corruption, PFMA, secret fund account.
Correct.
And then you refer to a meeting, what is that, with office of the IG. Mr. Sissoko, what was Mr. Sissoko supposed to meet the office of the IG about?
Mr. Sissoko was to facilitate arranging a meeting with the IGI. I only later became aware on the 23rd of January that the IGI was investigating these properties and the purchases using the COVID funds, etc. And the meeting did take place, and I will explain it a bit later.
Will you also explain how you came to know of that?
All these notes are from what Advocate Johnson was instructing us must be done. So Advocate Johnson had indicated that the IGI has information and that a meeting must be arranged.
Okay,
I
and
thought Ms. Ngube is asking you, how do you know that the meeting occurred? Or if
The-
that's not what she was asking, that's my question.
The meeting of the IGI, I was present.
okay, that's one way of dealing with it. Okay, so then you can go to the lady from Action SA. Now, you in your notes on page 3,
Correct.
you have, you've dealt with houses, properties, Mabusela's name, Colonel Masingi. Then you've got 2 properties, 28 million, 48 million. And then you have a sort of a bracket, and you've got Action SA lady coming for this.
For this.
Okay, so the Action SA lady is going to speak to this.
From what I was told by Mr. Perumal, and as per the presentation,
On page 227.
7.
So you'll have to open file 10, page 227. My apologies. Which is post-authorization activities. You have it?
correct?
That's post-authorization activities. This is the presentation, Mr. Perumal's portion of the presentation on the 22nd of January, and the first bullet point. You can read it into the record and explain to us what was discussed in the meeting about this aspect.
On the 15th of January 2025, the MP contacted Chief Perumal and advised that another MP, Ms. James from Action SA, was intending to meet with the IPID on Monday, 20th January 2025.
And the first MP here is Mr. Adams.
Correct.
Still.
Continue.
He advised that her intention was to open a case and to request IPID to conduct investigations regarding the two properties that were purchased using CI COVID funds. Mr. Perumal, after being provided with her contact details, contacted her and advised her that IDAC has already undertaken to investigate same.
And then the next page, 228.
The MP then undertook to come to IDAC offices on
Now, when you say MP here, you're referring now to
Ms.
Ms.
James.
Well, not you, but Mr. Perumal. 'cause
Mr. Perumal,
yeah.
correct. The MP then undertook to come to IDAC offices on Monday, 20th January 2025, with her draft affidavit and evidence, and to conclude same with IDAC investigators. Her affidavit and documentary evidence will be filed in the case docket, which focuses on the abuse of COVID funds. Further investigations and interviews will be conducted. Must I read the last one as well?
Yes, you may.
The designated team has been activated, briefed, and deployed from 20 January 2025 to the 31st of January 2025 to finalize all outstanding evidential material or matters.
Why did you laugh when you read that?
I was just remembering how the briefing and the instruction, or what was the word? It was briefed and deployed. It was rather instructed and screamed at.
Okay. So that is where, so when you say in your note on page 3 of file 10, the Action SA lady coming for this, it's referring to that that is set out in the presentation.
Correct.
Okay. And was there any further information? Did you know what evidence, documentary evidence she had and where she had obtained that evidence?
I was informed in the meeting that Ms. James also received an envelope under the door with top secret documentation and confidential documents and information about these things.
An information note.
and an information note, yeah.
And the documentary evidence that she had received that was also slipped under her door related to this aspect only, or was there something else that it related to as well?
If I may just clarify, Ms. James never came to IDAC. She did not, I was asked to wait until at least, I think it was 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And then I went home, showered, and then I had to come back for the forklift witness. So she didn't answer Mr. Perumal's calls, and she did not come through. But later on, if I'm not mistaken, it was somewhere in February or early March.
Yes, that's also some of the documentation that must still be disclosed. Yes.
Mr. Perumal sends me a WhatsApp. It's a very concerning WhatsApp because it is marked top secret on the top, and it is the security risk and assessment of Mr. Ian Cameron. The message below that, and it's both pages that was sent to me via WhatsApp. And the second paragraph, or the typed paragraph on that is, it makes sense why the Action SA lady didn't come. I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, we will deal with this aspect in full, Chair, once the documentation is available, and I can foresee that there's potentially a further statement that will be required. But for now, we can just deal with it on this level because there are some serious aspects flowing from that as well that we need to explore. But for now, we're just dealing with what the briefing was, and that there was potentially a further witness that was going to provide that information. Was Ms. James was the intention that she was going to be a witness, or that she was also going to do a Section 27 affidavit, or would it form part of this?
From the presentation, it's clear that Mr. Perumal had indicated or had intended on filing her affidavit and her documents in the existing Fadil Adams dockets, and she would then become a witness.
Okay.
Did she ever file an affidavit, Ms. James?
Not with IDAC.
Do you know if she filed with IPID?
I was informed later that she did in fact choose to go to IPID versus IDAC.
That was part of the WhatsApp that Mr. Perumal sent you to say this is why she didn't come to us or something like that?
Correct.
Yes. And did Mr. Perumal say where he got that information from, the top secret information from?
No, he did not indicate. And at that point of our relationship or working relationship, there was a lot of, I was being excluded from a lot of information.
Okay. Can we then go back to your notes and we can deal with paragraph 17 of your statement on page 9? And in your notes, I think we are now still on page 3 of file 11.
Correct.
Continue, paragraph 17.
No stone was left unturned during this meeting. Mr. Perumal said that we must investigate the procurement of furniture and that there were 7 constables who were given the contracts for the procurement of the furniture. Advocate Johnson also gave instructions that the vetting files were to be subpoenaed in terms of Section 28.
Sorry, Commissioners, we're now on page 4 of the notes of file 11. And you can continue. Still paragraph 17. Advocate Johnson
then provided, she told the investigators to go and talk to Khan first because he was on leave and the Section 28 must be served on him so that he can consult with the team. Advocate Johnson then provided General Khan's private cell phone number. The way I understood the instruction was that the Section 28 summonses must be served on General Khan, but before doing so, he had to be consulted first to make sure that he was available to assist, as opposed to him being on leave when the summonses are served on him. Advocate Johnson also indicated that there was a female in vetting. The name provided was Nube, who may be willing to talk. And the name of an attorney, Mr. Ian Small-Smith, was provided. I cannot remember why the name was important enough to note at the time. Mr. Perumal advised that all...
Before you proceed, at this point of things, did you know anything, if at all, about the nature of the relationship between Advocate Johnson and Mr. Khan?
No,
You didn't know anything at all?
no.
Okay. That they even talk to each other?
I was aware that Advocate Johnson's husband works at Crime Intel. No, I'm lying under oath now. I apologize.
You're mistaken.
I'm mistaken. With the Miss General Khan thing, like I had alluded to in statement 1, I was aware of the docket situation and the information being sent by Advocate Johnson to General Khan, where he was assassinated.
This is the assault case.
The assault case, yes. So I was aware that there was, and I also knew that Advocate Johnson's husband and Mr. General Khan worked in the same office.
As much as you knew it.
That's as much as I knew.
Thank you.
Ms. Nube, is there any reason why the statement is no longer being displayed?
Sorry, which statement?
So, as the witness was reading paragraph 17, it was not displayed.
Yes, I indicated that we're displaying the notes, the witness's notes, because she's speaking to the notes. She's summarizing her notes and not the state. So we can't display both. So it's better to display the notes so that we can follow how she's interpreting the notes. Unless we take the notes down and show her statement, but I thought it would be better to do it this way because this is the actual evidence that she's producing.
It's a bit difficult because we have the notes, we can read them from our files, but the other people in the room don't have the notes and the statement. So them looking at the notes without the statement is a bit complicated. So
But
maybe
she's
you
reading-
decide which is easier.
I don't know, I'll take guidance from the commissioners because she's reading what the notes say, so I thought that would be the easier way. Otherwise, the public don't see the notes if we display the statement, which she's reading in any event. But I'll be guided by the commissioners because it is going to be a lengthy exercise.
Too small, so the side-by-side won't work. No, let's continue with what you...
So we should display the statement instead. The notes.
The notes.
Okay, thank you. Chair, there was an indication that we would try and see if we can do the split screen later after thing. So I just... Then paragraph 18 of your statement.
Mr. Perumal advised that all Section 28 summonses would be served in that week, being the week of the 22nd of January 2025. Mr. Perumal indicated that the statement of Miriam, a member of Crime Intelligence Vetting Component, I am able to mention this name because she filed an affidavit and it has been disclosed, was almost complete. Advocate Johnson stated that lifestyle audits must be conducted on General Lushaba and General Kumalo, as well as FIC applications to determine overseas travel. Advocate Johnson advised that the assets of the PKTT should be profiled.
Okay, just pause that. Is page
Why
4.
are you does she explain why you're looking at lifestyles and overseas travel? I mean, the allegations arising from Mr. Adams's 27, which is the basis of the presentation, right? So everyone is on the same page. We are working off that document. What arising from that section 27 gets you to overseas travel and lifestyle? Was there an obvious link explained?
Nothing. I do state in my statement that it became concerning to me why these instructions were being issued, but more so, I later on stated or explained why I couldn't understand where Advocate Johnson was getting this information from to be so detailed in the instructions and what we were supposed to do during this investigation.
Thank you. Before you continue with paragraph 19, we are now, Commissioners, on page 5 of the notes, file 11. Continue paragraph 19.
Advocate Johnson said that the National Commissioner, General Masiamula, should not be informed of the investigation. She said the National Commissioner would appear at the Portfolio Committee on Policing soon, and we should let him lie at the Portfolio Committee. I assume this was because IDAC was engaged in discussions with the members of the Portfolio Committee on Policing who would know about certain aspects of the investigation. General Masiamula, unaware of the investigations, would then presumably be caught in a lie.
Okay, can I just ask you, so when the committee members, the members of the Portfolio Committee on Policing that we know so far would be Mr. Adams, Ms. James, and Mr. Cameron.
Correct.
And I just want to refer you to page 2820, which is in file 7, which is an affidavit by Mr. Ian Cameron. You'll let me know once you have it. Page 2820. It's an affidavit by Mr. Ian Cameron, and if you go to page 2820, it was deposed and commissioned on the 9th of April 2025 in Cape Town by Mr. Brian Padiachi.
Confirm.
Okay. And just to give context, Mr. Cameron says at page 2820 that at paragraph 4, I, together with members of my committee, are primarily responsible for oversight to ensure effective law enforcement within SAPS. And then at 5, he says, as chairperson, I convened a portfolio committee meeting on Wednesday, 2025-0402, online with members of the committee, senior managers from the Office of the Minister of Police, and senior management of the SAPS, led by General Fani Masimola. And he sets out certain events in there, but then I want you to go to 2821, paragraph 8, he says some committee members were not satisfied with the SAP's management responses. However, in the absence of factual evidence, I intervened and closed the agenda point and moved to the next item on the agenda. Then at paragraph 10, which should actually be paragraph 9, importantly, he says, I suspect that the senior management of the SAPs, led by General Masemola, misled the portfolio committee in answer to several questions posed to them. To confirm exactly where the committee was misled, it will be prudent for the committee's recording of the meeting to be compared with the evidence available in the relevant crime intelligence files. So from what he seems to be saying in here is that General Masemola and whoever was in that committee meeting from SAPS had effectively lied to the committee. And we know now from your notes on page 5 at file 11 that Advocate Johnson said you mustn't tell the National Commissioner about the investigation. Let him lie to the committee. He'll be caught in a lie. And Mr. Cameron was one of the committee members who was engaging with IDAC at the time and knew that there was an investigation at the time, correct?
From this affidavit and from the notes, correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Nube, you should read paragraph 7 because it gives a context
Yes.
to 8. Sorry if you had already read it.
Yes.
I might have missed it.
Paragraph 7 of that same 2821, there have been several media press releases and on social digital platforms where allegations of corruption within the Crime Intelligence Division have surfaced. The committee was therefore focused on addressing some of these allegations, as will be evident from the minutes. So it was about crime intelligence that General Masemola was being called to that Committee on Policing. Advocate Johnson knew that in January 2025 when she has that briefing session because she says he will be appearing at the Portfolio Committee on Police soon. Correct?
Correct. It's also later made reference to in 2 July, the memo that I'll be addressing or speaking about
Yes.
with regards to this.
The 2 July memo relating to the arrest of General Masemola and General Kumalo,
Yes, correct.
that you prepared a memorandum on, which we'll get to that.
Yes.
Thank you.
But can we say for sure that the discussion with Advocate Johnson related to this portfolio committee meeting? Because this meeting is in April, and that discussion is taking place
In
3
January.
months prior. Now, we know from evidence that there were other portfolio committee meetings, the one in March, for example, where the name of Mr. Brown Mukhosi was mentioned for the first time. And I don't know how many others. So can we say for certain that the discussion in paragraph 19 of your statement was related
Yes.
to the portfolio committee meeting in April?
Commissioner Kumalo, we'll look into that, but this was specifically in relation to crime intelligence, this portfolio committee meeting on policing. So we will look at the others to see whether those also related to crime intelligence.
Because it says here he will be appearing soon. Now, I don't take soon to be in 2-3 months from now. That's really my difficulty.
Okay, we'll have a look into that. Okay, you can continue.
Maybe, sorry, Ms. Nube, maybe for completeness on this Ian Cameron affidavit, we should point out that Mr. Cameron doesn't say in what respect did the SAPS team lie or is suspected to have lied.
Correct.
That's correct?
That's correct.
He doesn't provide any particulars.
May I offer
Yes, please.
an observation from, because of the matters and the way they were being dealt with? It would honestly have been at the time where General Masemola would have been questioned on the vetting and security clearance of Ms. Madondo and Mr. Khan, at the point where he says that it had been sent to SSA.